Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand spanking new 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X, and today I'm gonna review it for you guys. I don't know why I always insist on filming these videos next to a major trucking road. I mean, the grass looks cool, that's why I film it in the grass, but you know, there's give and take. See, look at this, it's all 18-wheelers. I filmed this in an industrial park. And so there's just constantly giant trucks going by. So there you go, little peek behind the curtain of how I film these videos.
Before we begin, I want to thank Kelly Nissan for allowing me to review this vehicle. For all your Nissan needs, you can visit Kelly in Easton, Pennsylvania, right off of Route 33, or at their website, kellynissanofroute33.com.
Starting out up front on this new Frontier, I think Nissan knocked it out of the park styling-wise. You'll have LED headlights right here with daytime running lights, and then you'll also have LED fog lights. And then if we move into the grille, you'll have your Nissan badge with red accenting. Right below that, kind of incorporated into it, is a camera for the 360-degree camera system that this has. And Frontier is stamped into the top of the tailgate. And if we move all the way down here, you'll have two red tow hooks and a pretty beefy skid plate. Moving underneath the hood in the Pro-4X, this is powered by Nissan's relatively new 3.8-liter V6. That outputs 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and that's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Those are incredibly respectable numbers for a mid-size pickup truck. In fact, that 310 horsepower is actually currently class-leading, beating out the previous record holder, the twins from General Motors, the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Canyon, which had 308 horsepower. Technically, I don't know if you could really tell the difference between 2 horsepower, but on paper, Nissan's in the lead. Moving to the profile of the new Pro-4X, starting here with the wheels and tires, you're gonna get Hankook AT2 265/70R tires around these really nice gunmetal gray 17-inch wheels with red Nissan logos for the center caps. I think those are pretty aggressive looking wheels that match with fairly off-road worthy tires. And then if we move up to the mirror cap here, it is black body colored with a camera for the 360-degree camera system. You do have blind spot monitoring, and they are power operated as well. And then you do have keyless entry on the doors. And down here you have, I don't know if you'd want to call it Predator steps or running boards, but they are Nissan official from the factory. They say Frontier right in there. Nice little touch, though I do believe you sacrifice a tiny bit of ground clearance with those, though I also imagine you can remove those if you'd like. Then you'll get your Pro-4X sticker right here. Really like to see the cool graphic on the back of the bed. And I just want to highlight the rear of the truck really quick here. I think the entire exterior looks gorgeous on this thing. I'm just blown away at how well Nissan manufactured this, reusing some of the same parts while also incorporating a lot of new ones. I just think they knocked it out of the park with the design of this truck. It might even look better than the Tacoma. I don't know. The Tacoma is currently my favorite, but man, this is a sharp looking truck. Then if we move down here, you'll have parking sensors and your tow hitch, as well as the Frontier nameplate stamped into the tailgate. That seems to be the common trend in the truck industry right now. And then you'll have Pro-4X right here on the tailgate. Nissan logo with red accents in it. Then you'll have a backup camera. And then if we drop the tailgate, no, I locked it. This seems about as pertinent a time as any to mention that the tailgate locks with the rest of the truck. So if we hit unlock right here, that's going to unlock the tailgate, and then we can drop it. It is dampened, which is nice, and you do have spots for cup holders right there in case you wanted to go tailgating. Very nice of Nissan to include that. And then on the actual bed itself, it has a spray-on bed liner, and then you do have spots for positionable clamps and cargo tie-downs, which is always really nice. You have some affixed ones, of course, right there, and LED bed lights. You also have a household power outlet back here. Love to see that. Nissan has included some additional stuff to really make this truck feel like it could be used as a truck and it's not just a show off-road vehicle. So I really appreciate that on Nissan's part. Let's take a look inside. Moving to the interior of the Pro-4X, I recently did a mid-trim Frontier, and this definitely has a lot nicer material quality in it while still maintaining that rugged design and solid build quality. Let's start here with the door panel. You do have a nice soft touch armrest down here, though up here it is hard touch plastic. Unfortunately, I really wish that was soft touch because that would be a very nice armrest right there. Obviously you can still use it, it's just hard touch plastic instead. And then if we move down here to the window controls, you do have one touch auto down and up for the driver's side, though the other ones you do have to hold the button down. And then you'll have lock and unlock, and then your window locking button, just in case, you know, your passengers get a little rowdy, you can lock their windows out. And then you do have the button up here for the mirror controls for the power option. Now, unfortunately, they're not power folding, but they are obviously power operated, so that is nice. And then moving down here, you have your tow haul mode, then your controls for the lighting on the screen up here and the gauges, your trip reset. Below that, you're going to get your blind spot monitoring, and then you'll have the button for the power outlet in the bed, your cargo lamp, hill descent control, traction control off, and then right there you're going to get your rear locker. Because this is the off-road trim, there is definitely some off-road prowess to this. It also has Bilstein shocks. I forgot to mention that on the outside. And then finally, the last thing down here is you do get an actual parking brake that you can push in on your foot. It is not an electronic one. So that's always nice to see. And then you're gonna have red outlines, or red accents, I should say, on the gauges and on the Nissan logo on the steering wheel, kind of matching the exterior ones. I really like that. And then if we just turn it on really quick here, you have some steering wheel controls on the button, or you have buttons for steering wheel controls on the steering wheel. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Your source, your volume, channel changing, Bluetooth, stuff like that, that's all available on here. And then you'll have your radar guided cruise control buttons right here on the other side. Then of course you'll have your wipers and your turn signal indicator stalks. And then right here on the center gauge cluster, that is controlled with these steering wheel buttons. Pretty standard speedometer, driver settings. Of course, you can check your tire pressure and your different driving aids and stuff like this. One thing I do like actually is this. It tells you whatever road you're on, what the speed limit is. I think that's really useful if you don't come across a speed limit sign. I guess it's only useful if you actually abide by the speed limit. The check engine light is not on. I just have not turned the actual truck on. I do this fairly often. I'm very low on gas, so I don't want to turn it on right now. But it's funny, I will do reviews and people will be like, the check engine light's on. And I'm like, I didn't turn the engine over. The check engine light will go away. And so pretty standard screen in the center here, but it is nice to have a full color display finally on the Frontier. It's been a long time coming. You do get your pitch and your degree angles for off-roading too on that screen, which is very nice. Then if we move over here to the touchscreen, it is pretty quick. Little tiny bit of a delay, but nothing terrible. I think it works fairly well here on the Frontier, and you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integrated into it, as well as navigation. So that's always nice to have just in case you want to use this. I always like to use the navigation map as a guide. You see how a little bit of a laggy delay there? That's always kind of gonna give you an idea of how responsive an infotainment system's going to be. Overall, not bad. Really like the size in here. I believe it's a 9-inch infotainment system. Very large, really fits quite well with the rest of this interior. Now, one of the pros, but also maybe the only con on this screen, is the camera system. So thankfully, it has a 360-degree camera system and a backup camera with trajectory lines, and you can cycle through to different angles, which is great for off-roading. You can see I'm turning my wheel, you get the live camera right there. The only problem is that the quality of these cameras is very low. It's pretty grainy, and it's just not great compared to the full-size trucks. Now, the Tacoma also struggles with this, but I'd actually argue this Frontier has a better camera system than the Tacoma, especially for the overhead. I think that overhead look is pretty good generally. But this is just so grainy on the backup camera. And of course it works, but we see in these full-size trucks really high quality, high definition cameras. And it's just like, why can't we get these in mid-size trucks? It's very disappointing. It's nice to have. It's nice that it's there, especially for off-roading. But I wish that they would put more attention to detail and care into these trucks with their camera systems. Below that, you'll have your hazards and then your climate controls right here. It is dual zone. And then below the dual zone climate controls, you can see here we have heated seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensor button, and then USB and USB-C. And then down here, you're gonna have just a little storage area. Now there is no passenger, well, there is a passenger grab handle, but there is no driver's side grab handle. But there is these little grab handles down here. Obviously not gonna help you get in, but it is nice to kind of have that on both sides. I like that little touch. I think that's a cool accent on here. And then they are leather wrapped with stitching in them, and that matches the gear shifter right here, which is also leather wrapped with that stitching in there. Then you have cup holders right here and wireless charging, always nice to see. And then a leather wrapped armrest right here. We can open that up and you're gonna have a 12 volt in there and a pretty decent amount of storage. I also like that you can have what appears to be spots for pens right here, and then maybe like an expo marker. If you wanted to put a really big thing in there, you could do that. So really like to see that on here. And then on the seats themselves, they do have a really nice textured pattern, and it does say Pro-4X embroidered into them. Very comfy seats, and they are power adjusting as well. You're going to have a Fender audio system. Unfortunately, due to copyright, I can't really play you any music, and it just wouldn't really come through very well on my phone. But trust me, it's a pretty decent system. I think the audio overall on these midsize trucks has improved greatly, and I think this is one of the leaders in that. The dash up here by the airbag has that stitching that continues across there. Really nice overall. And then you'll have a mirror right here. Hello. And this is auto dimming, and then it does have buttons here for your garage door opening and stuff like that. And then you do have a button here for the lights, and then you do have a button for your sunroof, which this comes equipped with. Love to see the sunroof on these things. I'm a big proponent of sunroofs, and I think it works really well on this Frontier. I would have a sunroof in every car if I could, personally, but that's probably one of the reasons they don't make me the president of cars. Anyway, let's move to the back. Moving to the back seats, this is where I have the front seat where I sit at about 5'9", 5'10", pretty cramped, not a ton of leg room back here. There is a decent amount of headroom, but I really feel like I'm sitting up very straight. Not really a lot of room to like lean back. Unfortunately, that's the price you pay with a mid-size pickup truck for the most part. Now, there are some really nice creature comforts back here though that I'd like to mention, and I really appreciate Nissan for including. Down here, you'll have a USB and USB-C, as well as a household outlet. Absolutely love to see that. Very rarely do you see that on mid-size pickup trucks. And then you also do have an armrest right here with cup holders that folds in to create a third seat back here. But again, I love that they've included this because not a lot of the competition does. The leather back here is just as comfortable as it is up front, and you do have a manually sliding window. Now, this being the Pro-4X model and being about $46,000, I do wish that this was a power sliding window, but I do appreciate that the window is there at all because they could have foregone that. And now the seats continue that really cool texture. Unfortunately, they don't say Pro-4X right here, though. One more thing I wanted to highlight, not necessarily specific to the back seats, but they are back here, is that this comes with a Nissan Adventure med kit, which I think is really neat and just a really cool inclusion. You can fit it in the pouches behind the seats. And then on top of that, you also get this Nissan backpack in the same digital camo. I just really like to see those included on trucks. It's just a neat little feature. Now, let's say, you're not really gonna be carrying many people in the back seats. You do have the ability to pull this little tab right there. Oh, let me see if I can do this with one hand. I can! You can lift that up, and then you're gonna have some storage underneath here. On this particular Pro-4X, this is actually your subwoofer right here, and then you have storage on the other side. But there is that functionality there too, and if you want, you can drop this down and you can pull this and fold these for a more flush load floor. But of course the headrest is here, but you have the ability to do that. So you can really store quite a bit in the rear seats if you want to on the new Frontier. Driving the brand new Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. Let's open it up here a little bit. Wow, this thing is really responsive. You can feel those bigger tires on it, definitely compared to the SV that I reviewed. It does feel a little heavier in its steering, which I don't mind. You would want a grippy steering vehicle, but that might be a turnoff for some people. I personally think it's really nice. And then coming around a corner here, woo, the suspension on this thing eats up bumps. It's really smooth, even over pretty big potholes, which Pennsylvania is known for. I love the feel of some of these buttons. Like the turn signal stalks just feel really solid, really sturdy. The seats are very comfortable in here, and the steering wheel, oh, it's so nice. Nissan knows how to make a nice leather steering wheel, so definitely a good place to spend time. Personally, I love going on road trips in my truck, and I definitely could see this truck being a fun road trip truck. And I imagine this would be fantastic off-road. That is going to conclude this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. And before I go, I'd like to leave you with a Bible verse. This week is John 10:11. Now, Jesus is speaking in this verse, and he's kind of giving a euphemism to the future. And so what he says is, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. So that is obviously referencing when he will inevitably be crucified on the cross and then rise again. But at the time, the people he was addressing didn't know that. And what's really cool about Scripture is, especially in the Gospels when Jesus speaks, he talks about future events like that in analogies quite often. So it's cool to be able to reflect retrospectively on those different verses. So that's going to conclude this video, guys. As one last giant truck, I think that's the same truck, unless there's a Walgreens right over here. That is going to conclude this video as that truck goes by. Thank you guys so much for watching.